I'm basically covering. I'm not Michel Littlemore, so you didn't see that wrong on your timetable, and I am certainly not intending to replace her. So I just basically cover the topics that sit within my research remit as well. And I want to really kind of start by setting a little bit the duality between theory and practice into perspective when it comes as well to strategic project management. And so in this session, we will catch up what we should have done last week, and then get started pretty much with what we are setting out in the second week. So this is an overview of theories, but in strategic project management, you will see there's a lot of practice going on, where practice kind of pushes innovations that we conceptually don't really have on the map. There's as well some practice that we will talk about that then thrives into pirate business and stuff like that. So that we probably have to filter as well out based on our national context to not thrive into illegal spheres. So Michelle is at the moment still off. She's not very well at the moment. She should be back next week, so it's nothing contagious. It's just I think the winter has caught up with her, sadly. So I hope we will see her next week and she will take over then again. This week in the seminar, you will as well receive kind of the outline of the assessment. Moses will be doing this with you, and he will talk you through it. It's actually a fun assessment. It's a simulation. Yeah, so you will prepare a strategic plan and try to basically perform according to your plan with like emerging patterns appearing through the simulation, and you will do that in teams. So there's a team aspect and or a group aspect where you will work in a team, and then there's as well an individual piece. But more in detail in the seminar, and if you have any questions to that or you want to familiarize with the simulation, Moses will talk you through the basics. But there's even in the seminars a test simulation just to familiarize with what it's like, and so it should be good fun. Now this is a 20 credit module, and if I can, I basically downloaded Michelle's notes and spoke to her briefly, and she suggests one key textbook. It's from Lynch, Strategic Management, and you will see that a lot of the case studies are either coming from them or from our Newcastle Business School, so they're basically copyrighted, and a lot of the case studies in the book are basically a good parallel read to what we are doing, because we use the same concepts, and you will see from company to company, also project environment that you will be based in to project environment, you have to apply the concepts very carefully and see if it actually works for your particular project, or the other way around, if it's actually applicable to your company setting as well. Now, what do I mean by that? I want to illustrate that really on a very old example. It's from the 90s, but the old examples are good, because if you ask people over the past, they are honest. If you ask them now, you get cleaned up versions, so it's sometimes old case studies are a lot more rich. And this is a case study from a cereal world, from Kellogg's Cornflakes. And when I saw this case study, it's actually not one of the book ones, but it's a special one that we have to pay for. I was really fascinated with this, because in 1994, when I was a little bit younger, I used to row, and I was quite successful. So I was in a scheme called Youth Trains for Olympia. I got that there was like an event where we illustrated all our sports. And like some other teams, our athletes got Adidas, which was pretty cool at the time. Then the football team got Nike, and we as a rowing team got Kellogg's, so I wasn't really that thrilled about it, but yeah, basically we run afterwards around with Kellogg's all over the place. Yeah, not the cereal, but you know, the brand name, of course. Yeah, and the symbol. So quite interesting, and you may discover in the case study why they were so keen on getting their logo out there and creating awareness. Yeah, so we will use that to first of all look very much at the practical scenario that Kellogg's was in, and compare that then with our concepts. Yeah, so where do we sit with that? Actually, is there anybody that hasn't seen me? This was a danger. I didn't consider it. So if you haven't seen, no, but actually mostly familiar faces. So in any case, my name is Robert. Yeah, if you have any questions, interrupt me. And I tend sometimes to get carried away. So if you have questions, please raise your arm. Yeah, you will be probably a hero for the other people that had the same question or similar question. Yeah. Now, so in this, I really want to look a little bit why is a strategy more effective with both prescriptive and emergent processes, and here prescriptive really being kind of the textbook. Yeah, so here we rely on theory and conceptual frames for planning and lining out where we want to do. And emergent models have kind of come a lot from practice. So this is how companies have responded, and our theories are very applied, coming actually from practice. Yeah, so you will see there are different concepts, and they have a different set of not rules, but I suppose conceptual underlinings, and I will introduce those in a second to you, to basically stay on the path where you want to be with your company. First of all, I want to, of course, start with some prescriptive definitions. This is from the textbooks. So actually, strategy is an interesting one. There's actually no universally agreed definition if you look at it. So we had, at the moment, we have as well a lot of reduction or avoidance themes that are as well perceived strategic. So we shouldn't see our planet as a playground of resources. I actually revisit that in a second. So this is a sustainability and corporate social responsibility agenda that has really emerged more recently. But at the same time we do. Yeah, so there's actually an irony to this, which means that you then use the resources that are already legitimized as a cyclic nature, which is quite an interesting thing. But here's a quote: "Strategic management is a pattern of major objectives or goals and essential policies for achieving those goals, set it in such a way as to define what business the company is in or is to be in the kind of company it is or is to be." So you can see that there is a recognition of the past time, and there's as well a future recognition. So it indicates where you want to go. And I've given you here, those are basically the classics that try to define it. And if you follow the references, you will see that there's a lot of debate, and we keep changing the definition because there are new elements coming to it. So especially the future notions or as well policies is certainly a new one. In the past, business was business. Legally, still in most countries, you are a business as long as you make profit, as long as you don't make a loss. And if you're a charity or very big company, even that is not true. So there's an interesting parallel practice to what is going on in the literature. And always keep a critical eye on this. The most you will get actually out of those lectures and seminars, if you try to apply and critically kind of question the concepts that we have here against maybe a case company that you are interested in. So this could be a company of your choice. Maybe you are in the company already. Maybe a company you want to work in. Maybe, I say a company, it's really just an organizational entity. So it could be as well David Beckham. It was very popular with, I shouldn't really go too much into this. 2 years ago, that was a very popular case organization that one of our students was very interested in. And I don't mean here as a football player only, but as well the marketing and the image he creates and who is actually interested to have him as kind of an image as a representative of the company. Yeah? So that is basically what I'm referring to. It can be as well a third sector or bigger companies like organizations like UN, charities, your call. Yeah, but I recommend come up with this company. You don't have to do this in this session, but for the future sessions, and always question if the concepts are actually applicable, yeah, if it works or not. I hope that makes sense. Yeah. Okay, so this is basically what is normally referred to as the prescriptive process. So this is really the front-end planning. If you go on a business encounter or entrepreneurial encounter or even project, I would suggest that that is probably a good model to start with. So very simplified, we have on one side our environment that we are based in. Yeah, this is surrounding us. But by the way, we go step by step basically through the model and look at each aspect individually in a lot more depth. So I run now once quickly through to familiarize with it, and then we basically do it step by step. Then we have in our company maybe certain resources, maybe in our networks. Yeah, so this doesn't always have to be only our company. Then we have, of course, our purpose that we are setting out with. This may be in a company a mission. This may be not formulated. Yeah? If you start a small company, you may just decide with your friends to come together and do a business, and you don't even write it down. Yeah, but there may be still a driver behind it, values why you want to do it. Yeah? So this is what we mean by purpose. It does help actually to formulate it so people are aware of it. And then we come to the options. So these are strategic options that allow us to have a plan B. If something goes sideways or we want to evaluate risk versus opportunities, that is where our options sit. And then we have to make a decision to what best fits our environment and our resources to make the most of it according to our purpose. So that is a choice. And then last but not least, we will have to implement it, of course. And here is a direct tie to projects. And if you want, very often the driver is then a project or program that we use for things like that.
Did you say before that it was cyclic?
Yes, it is. But so in this, in this it's not. But time-wise, okay, you would of course revisit your options. You know, the more information you have, or you may gain resources. Yeah. So this
take another path or expand the business or whatever.
Yes, you jump already in the next model. Now we have as well the. Oh yeah, sorry, I forgot. So the big themes or series for this is competition-based. So this is often what we consider in the environment. Resource-based. This is like what you have available, capacities, knowledge, skills, so forth. Game theory-based. This is options versus opportunities versus risks. Yeah, so it's it can be a little bit more risky. So chance of one of the options failing is maybe 20%, but you make 45% profit. Yeah, so you may consider that is a game where you want to go. So this is a game theory, and then cooperation and network theories. That is again where we come into the theorems of resources, cooperation, and partnerships as well. Yeah, which is a wonderful parallel that we actually cover here. Now, there is of course as well the emergent definition, and that is actually what you were saying, the cyclical nature to reviewing where you are at. And one example, this comes actually from Quinn, is strategic management can be described as finding market opportunities, experimenting and developing competitive advantages over time. So this is, you don't set out maybe with a purpose, but you start the other way around. You ask your network, hey, what do you need? Do you, what are you doing during the day? How can I help you? And you integrate yourself. And opportunities will emerge, and this is actually quite entrepreneurial. Here we are basically looking for spinning out a few options till it's actually profitable enough to allow you to do what you want to do. Yeah? So we are back at the purpose there. So the model, you have already noticed, I jumped in the previous model quite around. This is our model. So we may start off with a purpose, but this may just be like finding an option. So strategy development and implementation kind of maybe come directly from the emergent patterns, from your network, from your indicators. You may see a market segment and think like, hey, why is nobody doing this? This is a good idea, or I really want to do this, something like that. The more thriving terms for that is survival-based. This is quite hard. I'm not a big fan of that. I prefer to see it more as an opportunity-based concept. Uncertainty-based, so you have to try out. So the idea is normally that you try a few options at the same time to balance your risk. Yeah, so those strategies are normally more risky. And it's normally as well human resource based, and we can translate that more heroically in what people are comfortable with doing. Yeah, so are you up for the challenge? Are you intelligent? Do you see it as a challenge that you will be able to master? If yes, then that is basically what is meant. And then as well the innovation and learning based approach, which kind of harmonizes with this. So again, it's an odd divide. It should be really one point. One is kind of skills and organizational competencies. And here you have the willingness to learn. Yeah, but it's of course the same. Especially as a small entrepreneur, you often don't start with a set skill base. You learn on the job. You may have a training to accredit it, to be qualified for something, but there's a strong interlinking. Yeah, and then that filters back. You may actually even shape an environment, with new products or new services, or you show how you can transfer resources. And your environment may see that as an opportunity. Yeah. So it's a parallel approach, and here we have divided them. There's well integrated models, but they are a lot more complicated. So for familiarizing with the aspects, this is actually really, really strong. Any questions so far? Okay. So when we then really kind of start considering recent combinations from this definition, then you arrive at something that, well, basically the combination of the two is required. So we have that seen in particular more recently. If we look at our economic environment, do we have a prospering environment or not so prospering environment? And where do you make that reference to? Do you have any examples? Are we in a good time? Are we in a up?
The UK is on the move up, but Europe's still not growing. It's sort of static.
But China and the likes are expanding massively with great speed.
Yeah. So two examples here. Yeah. So UK, you said, as on the rise. Do you have particular industries in mind, or is that the whole economy?
The whole economy in general. I think some sort of like manufacturing probably growing a little bit more than others. There is going to be sort of downturns in energy. I think oil and gas and things like that over recent months. But in general, I think the whole economy in the UK is on the rise.
Okay, so mostly manufacturing the indicator, but the whole economy in the UK is on the rise. And you pointed as well towards China as a market that still grows. Is this the same growth number? Is this like good or bad? Where are we in like a comparison? If we look back at the past 100 years to have a lovely reference frame, is this on the good side? Is it bad, or where are we?
So I think the UK market's changed. Obviously, the industries have changed. There's a lot of kind of coal mining, shipbuilding 100 years ago, whereas China wasn't that big 100 years ago. They're now the world's biggest economy. They've taken over America, so I think there's been a huge shift. A lot of that derives from China being a supplier, and the UK being demanding.
Our skill sets need to change. We need to invest in training, getting people trained in the right technologies and things like that. Whereas China have already done that. Miles ahead of us in that respect.
Yeah, they have actually. We have kind of funded it with outsourcing, where we have trained capacities up, organizational capacities, and they have advanced. And now there's a move as well. Actually, this is a big hot topic. There's a lot of re-onshoring, is I think if you want to use the keywords. So the UK has actually made a strategic commitment by 2050 to be again a manufacturing country, which is quite interesting. And America tries so as well at the moment. So this is a big theme for a lot of countries. And skills is one aspect. So training. So as an entrepreneur, if you get now in the networks, it's very likely that you will have a very big company at the end, because there's a lot of positioning going on. Okay, so we had a few markets on the growth, but in the UK we are actually kind of still at the at the turning point. We had actually the recession before, and it meant that the trust or the willingness to invest in a joint venture on a project was smaller. So people were quite conservative and risk averse. So as soon as you were saying like we have market research and we think there's a good opportunity, then you were out. So you had to say the data shows that there's a huge demand for this. Then you may have your product. So there was a very risk-averse behavior in investment. And that really reflected in the economy. Actually, still in Europe, you mentioned it, a lot of countries in Europe that are still in the stagnation. There were as well criticism of a few countries making their numbers more shiny with getting big companies to come to their countries, and that is true. But there is an interesting notion with this. So our environment is actually quite good, but at the moment it's really a question of emerging strategies, and if you have a good idea, you too can position yourself. Does anybody else want to share maybe another country or economy example that you have in mind?
The only thing I want to mention is you've got the situation with Greece at the moment, and Europe seems to be trying to compare different economic structures such as industries into one gigantic sort of financial pot, and I think probably going to lead to trouble at some point. As with Greece at the moment, there's a huge deficit, and I don't know how that's going to turn out with the new election.
Yeah.
Greece seems to be, they've got no sort of like big industry, no sort of huge manufacturing, and they're struggling to try and compete with some of the European countries with regards to financial position within Europe. It's a bit of an unfair.
I think we're kind of pushing them away as well, because we're risk averse from them, because we don't think they're very sensible. They make silly decisions, and they're not improving. We can't see us having definitely see us forcing Greece out of the EU, etc. I think that might start happening. We divide again into different sections in Europe.
So in other words,
the field and the successful.
Yeah. So in other words, this is in a way what I meant as well with the economic climate. We are not really willing into investing into business ventures if they don't have the right skills, competences. And in Europe we have done a fatal thing. We have started comparing kind of national systems with each other, how responsive they are, how powerful they are. And then there are a few systems that really were entrepreneurial, which means you build the infrastructure with what comes, and then there are other countries that have like a very sophisticated infrastructure, but it's not that flexible. So here we have Germany, France, the big economies. They really have kind of they're really into particular industry segments, whilst Greece was as well one of the countries that put it out. But in a climate where you have like this risk averseness for investment, then new things are a very risky thing. And the European Union has been very harsh on that. So it has been a little bit toxic for countries like Greece. It's not just Greece. There's where other countries like Portugal, Ireland was as well struggling, but they turned it actually around. So they made long-term commitments. So there are different ways of going about it. Quite interesting. But what about places like India or Russia or maybe Brazil? Have you heard anything about those?
Russia's one of the richest countries in the world now.
Richest?
Producing more like oligarchs and stuff than they ever thought would be possible. Because ages ago it was just kind of, it wasn't even considered as a competitor, but now it's right up there.
Okay, and is this in general or
I'm
in
not
particular?
sure. I watched a documentary on like sort of businessmen, and there was more of the most wealthy businessmen in the world come from Russia, in particular, than anywhere else. And they're just
football teams.
But do you know? Wait a minute. This is the BBC thing, the iPlayer, because they are all registered here, right? So their billions are counted here in this economy for. So they are not really helping the Russian economy. This is a win-win situation for us, but it's
since the fall of communism in Russia, though, isn't it? Everyone seems to have taken more of a grasp on what they want and probably taken a chance with the Russian mafia. But some people have been entrepreneurs, took a risk and have succeeded, especially with the likes of oil and things like that. But that's really since the collapse of the communist Russia.
Yeah.
I would have thought.
Collapse is a politicized term, but I'm with you. So since certain countries, China's in the same seat, or Japan did a similar thing in kind of late 70s. As soon as they aligned their currencies to international trading, you're basically in the game and you are accounted for. And Russia is certainly as well there. Brazil has done the same. They are the new countries or the new economies, and they're powerhouses. So they have really still the rising numbers. They had a little bit. They're not rising the same as they used to, but they're still pretty much outperforming economically the growth of a lot of the perceived strong economies.
They all have, all those sort of new emerging powerhouses all have dodgy political stances as well, don't they? And they're not very politically sound either.
I see. So
they've gone from a communist sort of ideology to the entrepreneurs becoming very rich, and then the poorer becoming poorer, because at least that's why communism started in those countries, to try and equal it all out. So
well, in a way, you have here luxury in England, and maybe the UK, that there's a long history of parliamentary tradition. So and those countries have experimented around. So I would not really say that one is dodgy and one is not dodgy, but you will see that there's a refined practice here in the UK that has a long tradition, whilst in other countries it's experimenting. They build at the moment their own politics. And politics, if you look at it that way, and you say dodgy, you could interpret it as something like a way of bullying each other, and what you agree on, what's okay. So and that is always kind of
when you're politically unstable, it makes people more risk averse to do business with the other side.
I think the thing the thing I'm trying to think of is that there probably isn't a definition of a sound political structure in all the countries, because everyone has different needs and everyone has to achieve different goals within their economical structure. So what might work here may not work in other countries.
Yeah. So this is a very true observation, and I would go a step further. The political needs are oft locally based, or in maybe regional, if you want to have like a bigger remit. But the negotiation has then to have as well its local application. Otherwise, it becomes out of context and slightly ridiculous and imposing potentially as well. So it's a certain balance, but interesting dynamic. So we are certainly in a very interesting time at the moment, and there are a lot of opportunities. And you will see when you do market analysis, which we come to in 3 weeks, you will see that we are just having the market kind of repleted at like a quarter of the potential capacity. So there's still 3/4 running around that need everything that we can offer. I'm not sure that is a good theorem, but that is at least the analysis that you get to. Now, in the field of strategic management, we deal with major intended and emergent initiatives taken by general managers on behalf of the owners, involving utilization of resources to enhance the performance of firms in their external environments. So here are 2 important things to recognize for us. general managers, maybe you as well as a project manager, enabled by the general manager. So this could be as well a role for you, and you basically act on behalf of the owners, normally within the remit of what you have been contracted to do, involving utilization of resources. So this is the stuff that you have at your exposure. You may remember in project management we had the 4 M's. Do you remember what it was? It was a terrible concept, but easy to remember. 4 M's. That was the American model with the little bubbles. Actually, only a few here can actually probably remember that, and it's quite a stretch. I take guesses. What could 4 M's stand for in resources? And you have to think here wider in terms of resources. It's basically anything that can help. And here we are talking people, networks, and so forth. Actually, I've given it now away. So one was people.
Money.
Money, yeah, exactly, was another one.
Manpower?
Yeah, manpower was people. Okay, yeah, I give you that, yeah. And then money. Well, what else do we have in resources? What else? Materials, yeah, spot on. And what do we use to kind of transform or change? Machinery, yeah. So yes, land can be as well a resource, spot on. Yeah, so maybe as well considered as a material or the premises. Yeah. And often we try to enhance the performance of the firms. So this is important to recognize that performance improvement only makes sense if you have actually a strategic setting. Because if we try to improve the performance of the world, you may arrive at very ridiculous implications of that. So what is improved performance? Is that cleaner air? Well, what is then clean? Yeah? So there are a lot of strange scenarios. So in a firm or company that makes sense, but otherwise it becomes ambiguous. Yeah. Oh yeah, sorry, and that came from NAG and the team that stands behind it is NAG et al. So there are 3 other authors. So what does it mean in practice? So let's come back to my Kellogg's example. Yeah. So first of all, you have to look through the eyes of an entrepreneur that sees in this picture the opportunity of change, how you can impact on the whole world on each table. Yeah. So you first have to see this is this a typical breakfast? Can we do a quick poll? Who has a breakfast that looks a little bit like this? Okay, so we have maybe quarter to half, yeah, that is in for this breakfast. Yeah, I too go for something like that. I certainly have the orange juice, coffee is there, and yeah, okay, I'm not a big fan of milk, but still the milk is there. I go for muesli, so it's not quite Kellogg's, but yeah, there's a little bit something like that. So the idea was really for Kellogg's, this was European breakfast cereals. They tried to bring, where's Kellogg's from?
UK, America, sorry.
American company, yeah. And yeah, actually Kellogg's has a lot of stories as well around them, but that is probably not worthwhile to repeat. So worldwide market, they tried to get into Europe. In Europe, what do we normally eat? What is the traditional, what do we eat traditionally in the UK?
Toast.
Toast, yeah, is one. Oh, I like it, full English, yeah. So this is, yeah. So that was the main competitor. Porridge was basically the main competitor in the UK, and in Germany too. We go as well for meat and eggs. That's with bread. So it was difficult. Yeah, and in France they have the croissant and pain de chocolat. Yeah, so it's more it's other ones. Yeah, and in Spain the same. Yeah, so you will see it. It was a difficult market to get in for the Americans, but of course they knew their way around. Oh, I have as well. Dominated by the. Wait a minute, one step back. So American company and dominates basically in the UK market, and that is what it looked like. Yeah. So yeah, with vitamins and iron. So yeah. But basically that was advertisement. We can make a quick game if we recognize all the European encounters and actually worldwide as well. I don't know why I put that in, but oh wait, this is true. Yeah, so they started as well going for Portugal, and you can see that they always competed locally with the dishes. So in Portugal, for example, I was working 2 months with Samsung when they were still a small company, and that was fascinating. In Portugal they eat a lot of yogurts, and is quark, I don't know the English term, this is embarrassing. What do you call a feta yogurt?
Fromage frais, something like that.
Fatty yogurt, Greek yogurt.
Yeah, Greek yogurt. Yeah, that is what I mean. So Greek yogurt style, so quite rich, and then with as well nuts and stuff over it, and honey. It seems to be very popular. There's the competition straight away. That is where cornflakes, Kellogg's cornflakes wanted to be, and interesting scenario. And they plea as well that there are more vitamins in it. Yeah, so we have now the guessing game. So this is not so much Europe, but do you recognize them? Who can give me this one? Look, there's some kiwi in it. This is actually a bad indicator, but where could that be?
Maybe China.
It's Israel.
Yeah. Malaysia, Asia was closer geographically, so but we come to that too. Yeah. So don't. Yeah. Japan. Yeah. Spot on. And this one?
China.
Yeah. Yeah. Spot on. Okay, that was ambiguous guessing. Yeah. Japan and China, but well done. And here it gets a little bit more difficult if you want.
It's on the right, isn't it?
French and Greek.
Yeah. Yeah.
That too.
Greek. So anybody that did engineering knows that is sigma. Yeah. So you have to write that in every formula. And the other one is the French one. You're spot on. Yeah. And those. Now this gets a little bit ambiguous. Left one. Anybody?
Is that Spanish? Is that Korean?
Yes. Wow, this is impressive. So it's South Korea. Yeah, but it was Korean. And what is that one? Spanish.
Spanish is.
Yeah, it's close.
South American.
Portuguese. Yeah, that's Portuguese, but it was for Brazil. Yeah, and but they speak Portuguese too. So you're spot on. Yeah. So I don't know why it was European breakfast. I think they just wanted to show that they're worldwide as well. In between. Yeah, and the interesting thing is really, that they have a very different scene. Yeah? So they are often looking at the local market, how they can appeal to the normal breakfast, and pitch it in. So it's very different to the one that we saw in the UK, or as well in France and so forth. Yeah. And then the Turkish pack is really making the case. So there was actually no pre-existing breakfast like that. So they showed the whole family scenario. Yeah, so it's very, very powerful advertisement and marketing, if you want. Yeah, so again, positioning it in the middle of the family. Yeah, and then in the late 80s, they got ambiguous. They wanted to soil into new markets, and that is when the competitors woke up as well. Yeah, Kellogg's also began developing related new breakfast products. There was a cereal bar. I have to admit that I'm here on thin ground. I have no consumption experience with those products. But has anybody tried this?
Yeah, absolutely.
Is it?
They're good for kids' pack lunches and things like that.
Oh, so it's a bar. Oh yeah, it's
a
written
bar,
cereal and milk bar.
If you want a quick boost, that's about it.
Yeah, it's just sugar basically.
Oh, is that what the cyclists eat? Yeah.
Not
Yeah, maybe not.
Bit sweeter.
Okay. Yeah, but to be fair, triathletes just need sugar, so in a way that would probably do the trick then. But okay, even South Africa. Yeah. Okay. So and we are still European breakfast cereal. Okay, never mind. But that was basically their sprint of expanding, and of course with this came as well the first competitor. And General Mills in the US had watched it carefully. They were quite competitive in the USA, in the States, but they weren't so much going for the international market. And they too wanted now a big slice from this growing market in Europe. Kellogg's had shown that there is a market. Environment was good. People were already buying this stuff. Why not give them a little bit diversity, and maybe with a little bit better taste, getting that too. So this was, I think, with honey Graham cereal with a little bit cinnamon even. A wonderful combination. In a German's mind, that is superior to Kellogg's, but nobody on the market thought so, and nobody bought it. So they had real problems. They started twice by themselves and didn't get anywhere. But then they realized, hey, how about we maybe partner with another European partner? Yeah, and so just to give you the numbers here, 1980 to 86 unsuccessful attempts by General Mills to launch US breakfast cereals into Europe. This looks good, like good stuff, you know. I remember that was, I think, something that would be on breakfast tables on rowing regattas or stuff like that. So there was certainly the element there, but they had problems to really get into the European market. Oh, and you can see, so they tried themselves with Sainsbury UK. They basically put it on the shelf, but there were not enough customers that would actually buy it and consume it. Yeah, so they had a big problem here. Now there was, of course, the other side to this. Little Nestle in Switzerland, and when I say little, they are the largest food and beverage country of the world at the moment, so there's no real competition for that. They were very much interested. They watched the two American companies trying their luck in Europe and doing as well, crunching the numbers, and they had already as well the resources there. You can, I don't know, Kit Kat, has everybody tried this? Yeah, chocolate bar. It's quite. Is it good? Tasty? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. A few people not. This is a good sign. Yeah. So they had certainly their product more in that bar riegel league. Yeah, and they got, of course, the attention when Kellogg started doing as well the bars. That is basically how they suddenly were very awake of that new competitor, and they decided basically to come together for a joint venture. So the strategic development of General Mills, General Mills seeking new strategy to enter Europe, and General Mills made contact with Nestle in Switzerland, one of the world's largest food and drink companies, and the one is outdated, it's now the largest. Key point here was really at what point does a company decide that it is better to find a partner than act independently. So General Mills had already spent a few millions to kind of trying to establish themselves in Europe, but failed sadly, or failed, and it made it really necessary to get an insider that has already success in Europe to actually come in and create kind of a key product from General Mills, but establish it in the European market. So this is a very aggressive strategic strategy, and this led then in 1989 that General Mills agreed a 50-50 joint venture with Nestle. So this is then legally basically telling you how they go with risks and profits, but it doesn't necessarily give you the operational commitments. So here we're talking capacity, organizational capacity. But very important for something like that is you need to set up. I'm one point further. They called the joint venture Serial Partners. That was a new company, and they set up a leadership team in Switzerland. So it shows you probably where their decisions were made as well. Yeah, but then needed business strategy to launch Serial Partners products into Europe and also in the rest of the world, but not explored here.
I thought you were going to say on the end of the last one when you said when strategy, at what point did this company decide to get a partner? I thought you were going to say give up. At what point did they give up when it's not working? Because I mean that's quite a long time to be still milling about looking to see if it works. 9-10 years.
So this
product investment and nothing happening. I'll be saying, is it really worth it?
Yeah, but this is the thing. So you will cover that as well later. But some market strategies have taken actually over 100 years to actually establish certain market products. And if you're behind it, there's no remit. But if you have risk indicator, then you have timelines where you may want to have a return on your investments.
Because Kellogg had already shown that it was doable, but they were obviously just going down the wrong track, weren't they?
Yeah.
I noticed that quite early on, saying Kellogg's has been so successful.
Yeah, you're quite right. Of course, Kellogg's would keep that secret. They wouldn't be like, hey, General Mills, jump on the wagon. Also, many companies do that nowadays by going into markets. So this is quite interesting, actually. That was certainly more competitive at the time. But you can see here that General Mill really wanted to be in those markets, and this is even before they started to go into other international markets. Yeah, be it I think they do it really by continents, kind of like so. There's as well kind of Asia, then to the right, and then South is Africa, and then kind of South west we have South America. So they're quite aggressive with those elements, yeah? And to be honest, especially with food and tastes, I have as well worked with PepsiCo a little bit. Sometimes you don't even try to pitch your own products, you just try to make recognition with the existing taste and make them more tasty. So we had a few countries, for example, and actually Namibia was a good example. Namibia had already Coca-Cola, but they were very keen on local drinks, and basically PepsiCo brought local drinks out just for Namibia market that were very similar to the taste, but slightly improved with sweetness. And when I say improved, this is so it's a little bit cheaper to produce. It makes a larger profit. And yeah, that was basically their key strategy, I think, in the 80s, 90s in Namibia. So here's a probably similar attempt. You just want to get in on the market, yeah, because you know it's a market that is starting to take up, where people start thinking about like, oh, maybe I want something else for breakfast. Yeah, not always the same thing. Yeah, then you have a potential market there. But good question. Did that answer it to? Yeah. Now, how did they actually develop and incorporate the strategy? They went for agreed, we had that already, 50-50 joint venture, which means they basically start a new company as indicated, yeah, and both put the resources in, so they promise by contract to resource the company and use strategically their kind of capacity to increase the value of the joint venture. This is normally nowadays quite contractual, to be honest. The partnerships seem to be only on like completely new joint ventures with new technologies actually to be approached. But we come to that in another module. So there's a need to separate decision making. So they needed to recruit a new team and new headquarters. They did that as well, and both parties brought different skills and competitive advantages to the joint venture. So Nestle had, of course, a brand name and a supermarket network contacts, which seemed to be the biggest asset here. And then General Mills had the mass production expertise and strong new product range. So they had already developed alternatives that could actually compete with Kellogg's. So, and if you look at that, the key point really being cooperation works best when companies offer different but related competitive resources. And in a way, that is probably as well, you probably can relate to that from projects as well. It does help if people bring different strengths to the table. Yeah, and not really surprising here, it's the same. Now, with this, we come to market size to give you an idea of the 90s, how nowadays it has actually switched quite a bit. It's interesting, especially in the UK, Germany, and France, we seem to rely now very heavily on those products. But at the time, it was, so the population is here in thousands, is actually the right. Why is it yeah, okay. So it's 1.4 million, 350,000, 250,000, and other countries in Europe 1 million. So a total of 3 million population that were consuming basically cereals, and the US value in millions with that is basically given behind. So you can see that although in United Kingdom there were. Oh no! Now it makes sense. My apologies. So that is really millions. Yeah. These have just switched for some reason, and I'm not quite sure why. So that is basically the national population at the time. Is that correct? 1990s UK population 55 million. Does anybody know? The 81 is right, and the 56 is, I think, a little bit too small. Okay, but this is population of people, yeah, of that country at the time, and that is basically the US dollar a million of the market share. So you can see the United Kingdom was already consuming in decent quantities. The Germans kind of behind it, but you know, like, quite frankly, not even like pulling their weight properly. It's not even, it's a quarter, you know, so of the market, and there are more people. So that was very half-hearted from the Germans. Yeah. And the French are a little bit more committed, yeah, if you look percentage-wise, but again, not really pulling their weight. Yeah. So United Kingdom clearly leading here the cereal market. Yeah. Now, okay.
Was that
sorry.
for consumption, or was that with the actual selling of seeds?
Oh, here it's properly done. Yeah, sorry. What happened to the slide before? So this is market size in US million, yeah, here, and then the other one is the population. Sorry, well, what was your question?
I got that.
Was that consumption or?
Yeah, was it consumption or was that?
Yeah, it's buying the package. Does that make sense?
Right. Okay. So that was after. That was what they were gross. That was the money they were making from the product rather than.
No, this was mostly still the market for Kellogg's mostly. Yeah, does that make sense? So
Okay.
that was the market volume consumed from Kellogg's at the time.
Oh, so that was the market they had to break into to get.
So here probably
proportion
quite
of-
difficult because people don't eat cereals. So if you're now a cereal manufacturer, you're a little bit, is this a good idea to try hard there? They seem to eat other stuff. Yeah, but UK was actually already pretty good. So I mean, it was on the table an option to have cereal too. Whereas here, here we would struggle. They may have more pasties or something. I don't know. Yeah, so other options. So the UK market was a lot larger already than the rest of Europe, and there was a different strategy. So this is a high asset value, a high value market segment, yeah, where you can, if you pitch it right, you can quite easily compete, and people probably like your product if it's better, tastier. Yeah, you have to figure out then what the market wants. Maybe they want something cheaper, something more tasty, something of higher quality, maybe with more. So this is for you to research then in the market evaluation. Does that make sense? Yeah. So with this came as well market growth and share. So annual market growth of the different markets, and you can see here France was really picking up with 25. You know, there was commitment in France. Yeah, in the UK there was people had it already on the table. They liked it. Some bought it. Some were not convinced. They preferred the full English, yeah, or the porridge that we have as alternative. In Germany, they were kind of behind. They were picking up, but it didn't really catch on. And the Spanish, they were as well on the run. Yeah? So they started this by considering as a good notion. And market share of Kellogg's on those were 50 to 60%, which is dominating. So this is quite frankly, you are kind of a monopoly. The other ones make up probably as well the muesli industry from other countries. So there's you're on the safe bet here. Oh, okay, wait, I stole the analysis away. Yeah, so here's the point that I tried to make. So UK market is a lot more mature, whilst the other ones are still growing. And that means they're as well more open to change in taste. Yeah, mature markets are often set in certain ways, so separate changes in taste is a nice option, but if it's too different, yeah, you're on a thin ice there. Yeah, and that is quite interesting actually. But new companies' strategy must as well recognize Kellogg's dominant share. So you have to as well provide a product that maybe associates, or you can do, well, there are different strategies for that, but it was certainly the recognition that Kellogg's was dominant at the time. So that is probably what people would recognize as cereal, if they see a box. Yeah, so the recognition value, if you want.
Just on a
Yeah?
quick one there, almost, you know, Kellogg's, but supermarkets make their own sort of branding of what is cornflakes. Is there any implications on how they would go about marketing and selling it with regards to Kellogg's? Because in reality, everybody knows it's a copy of a cornflake, but it's not.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, nowadays we have said actually a lot. At that time, or with new products, this is a very dangerous thing to do. because if it's not even a product that is on the market and you start copying it, then you may not have a market yet. So that would be perceived as very risky. But yeah, that does happen. So so for example, in a mature market, you can remove the brand, and a lot of shops do that. They have their own brand of the product. And where does that work well? Does anybody buy those kind of supermarket brands?
Higher end supermarkets are still not that good, to be honest.
Okay, so you have already criticism on the quality side, or
buy them, but they're not as good.
So quality is not that
like
good.
The original, that's the thing.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
quality's-
don't taste that well. Yeah. Is that?
They're like half the price though, aren't they? So
Yeah, no, I mean it's whatever the need of the consumer is, I guess.
It's just essentially you sort of make it simple. You're buying a Toyota Yaris and putting a different badge on it, but you know it's a Toyota Yaris. Do you know what I mean? And I'm just wondering if there was sort of any. Is there any implications with regards to copyright and theft and things
Some
like
of them
that?
even pinch the logos, don't they? They make it look very similar. So
Yeah.
you could pick it up by accident or use the same colours and all sorts.
Yeah. Okay. So here we are talking already what you mentioned. So if you're competing on the price basis, you want that people recognize the product and compare. Oh, this is the original brand, but look away. Wait a minute, this is half price. Why don't I try this one? Yeah, and then you may have things like that. The taste is not quite the same, or it can be as well that the engine of the similar shaped car is slightly weaker, or you don't have the seating, heating in the car, something like that. So there are different ways of playing the market. But here we're talking already at a mature market where people are aware that that is a product that you do like. Yeah. So when you start in a new market, then you have to rethink this a little bit. So we come to that in a second with our analysis. So let's dive actually into this. Oh yeah, sorry. There's still another main indicator here. So we had as well main market segments in the 19th where staple products growth was 40%, and growth was still there, but it was actually a mature market. Then healthy products was kind of 30%, and it grows. Yeah, so people started realizing in the 90s that it does make sense not just to eat maybe unhealthy food, but look as well after your body what it actually needs. And then there was as well a growing market for children products, and then there was other. So that was embryonic. Well, what does that mean? Embryonic.
Very early stages, very young.
Yes. So kind of at the start where you don't yet have a market, but there is a emerging market of other products. This well, the question here, of course, was that important for the serial partners? What do you think?
Was there opportunity to get in there and to be a bit entrepreneurial, trying to bring in different brands?
Yeah. So you try basically with your product, if you have something like that, to pitch it as well at those market segments. So as we saw on the Kellogg's boxes, and you see that they try to kind of go for children eating the Kellogg's too, or the family setting. So this is actually what they would be searching for in the local markets. So this is very much an environmental analysis. Yeah, and yeah, so basically, again, I should wait and press first the button before I explain it. So greater chance of success in growing market segment, but with products. So that is basically where I pitched, mostly. Yeah, and shall we have a 10 minutes break? Just at that point, before we take this example apart into the strategy. Or push on, and I have like wait a minute. This is a 25 minutes longer break afterwards. Push on? Yeah. Okay. Super. Actually, is that okay for? If you need the toilet or something, just go for it. Yeah, don't worry. It's quite
So
alright.
basically, what you're saying is any new product needs to be looking in that 20, 30 to make an impact.
Oh, I see. No, this is just greedy. Yeah, but normally you would just go for an environmental analysis and look at trends. Yeah, so what are at the moment fashionable ideas? Yeah, and what is at the moment seems that make people think why they may switch. Yeah, for example. Yeah.
See, I thought children's products would have been much higher because they're always pushing like Cocoa Pops and.
You think now, yeah. Nowadays we have children's products, but think of the 90s. In the 90s there were not a lot of children products. Yeah, so and that was a market I think from 4 to 8 upwards. You know that is where they I think had a good chip in. And you can see this as well with things that they sponsored, like Youth Trains for Olympia. So those are marketing exercises to exactly bring the children's awareness to something like that. So it's quite so if you look in the ethics, that is probably quite a cruel thing to do, but it's very it gives you a good idea of what market elements are. Now when we come back to our prescriptive model, we can basically go through it. The size in the US was 3 billion and a growth of 10% per year. So this is pretty good. This is normally where people are quite happy to invest. 10% on wealth investment is good. Yeah, so the standard with a good bank or if you have a big mortgage broker that doesn't do too risky things, you will get between 4 to 8%. 10% is on the better side, but nowadays we want on a lot of our business ventures 20% or more. Yeah, so that shows you that we probably run a few projects as well against the wall. That is already accounting basically for the ones that went wrong. But 10% growth is pretty good. Lower in the UK, but larger market, and the other emerging markets you remember with Spain really picking up. And as well France, I think, and a little bit Germany. They were all emerging markets, so that was very good. And Kellogg's 50% of the shares, so they kind of have established the market, if you want. Yeah? So they set as well a little bit the rules or what consumers are looking at. Yeah, if they are looking for the cereal. And I should have again pressed the next button. Sorry. So from environmental analysis. Treat UK differently, more mature, growing slower, acquire a company in the UK maybe. Yeah, so this is very aggressive, a company that people recognize, again, the brand idea. Then treat rest of Europe as growing market, chance to try new products, develop the other European markets, and that is really as descriptive as it sounds. So here you work with advertisement campaigns, you give free trials, things like that, to basically establish your product in the markets, or you just put it on the shelf. And that is really based on Porter's concept of environmental analysis. There's where Mintzberg and Baker, I don't have Mintzberg, but there's 5 forces analysis. So we will work through that and familiarize us with this. Now then we have, of course, the competitive resources. Here we had different ones, so you can see by company in our joint venture, there were different elements that came in. Now we know most of the products, probably in Europe, under Nestle. In other countries, in Africa, I actually didn't know those products at all under any of those names. They have completely different names, so they have again partnered with other companies, which makes it difficult to trace. But for example, in South Africa, you would see it that at the bottom there would be the little Nestle Group logo, which would indicate that it's probably a brand from Nestle too. The brand name, Grocery Network, and General Mills, unique product range, so they've already experimented around and refined the options that are available, and they knew as well how to low-cost manufacture, including own label. So those were like the main competitive resources that we had from General Mills. And then with that came, of course, some potential theoretical areas that you could then look at. Core competences were low-cost product range using Gen Mills experience. This is a kind of manufacturing it extremely cheaply and having already skill sets in place where you can train people on, and it's pretty much straightforward. Short training and you can manufacture it. Then innovative capability, used Gen Mills range from North America. So they had experimented around with taste, what works well with consistency, stuff like that. So you have to play around with that a little bit, so that certainly already the network's there, as well with flavors. This is actually quite a complicated business. And reputation, use Nestle, much better known than GM in Europe. So Nestle was already there and associated with sweets. So which child wouldn't want to have at that time sweets for breakfast? My option were, I think in the 90s it was something like fruit or a bread roll with ham and salami or something like that. So very German breakfast, and sweet was better. So as a child, you favor that certainly, or I did. Then the architecture, the network of relationships. So how well are they actually set up in terms of supply chain, and as well end user networks. Here again, use Nestle's knowledge and contracts in grocery stores to basically bring the products in. And again, this is based on pretty old concepts, but they're still kind of used in a refined way. So that is probably quite interesting. Now, purpose, they wanted 20% of the market share. So it's always fascinated that they're not so much interested in return on investment, but 20% of the market share. So you can see that they are a global player and have great ambitions. I would really like to read something like that in the business strategy when you start your business, and this is certainly exciting. So with this, you come to series like stakeholders and as well shareholders potentially. But the individuals and groups who have an interest in the organization and therefore may wish to influence aspects of the mission, objectives, and strategies. So you may make that relying on who you are targeting at, or who you think your product may be for, or who you try to basically pitch it to. Now, those were then the options that they kind of came up with. So we look at those in a little bit more detail. So on one very obvious strategy was with this new joint venture, head-on against Kellogg's. Let's compete on every product they do. We match one next to it. Some will taste better, some are cheaper, and we see which one kind of takes the market share from Kellogg's. Then there was flanking via segments, so specializing on one side of the product range. And then there was as well totally new breakfast format, so coming with something completely new up. So let's have a look at that. Oh, okay, again, head-on attack, so that's it. Clusters and special, so you can see they went actually head-on with that product range. Then we had as well, so basically they did all options, which is interesting to recognize. Then they did wait a minute. I think I have the wrong picture actually. This is slightly. I got this theory to it. Yeah, but basically they tried to. So let's go one back. So they went actually basically in a segment. So this is actually head-on against one of the special Kellogg's cornflakes. So this is not the cornflakes one, this is a sweeter one. And Nestle did basically a sweeter version with some nuts in it. And it was the higher value asset, which meant that they could actually establish their kind of on that flank a stronger market share actually. So that is actually what they went for, and that means as well that they attempted to dominate that segment, which is quite interesting.
So what they did was they found another product which got it just so it was nearly equally as good as the cornflakes.
Yeah, well, if you, I didn't recognize it because I've been slightly ignorant with this. Yeah. But so this is not the normal Kellogg's cornflakes. That is, I think, the one that we have now.
Healthy.
Yes. So this is okay. This is you are better informed than I am. So this is good. And I think nowadays you have it as well with strawberry slices, right? Yes. But actually, this came from clusters first. So they had kind of nuts in it and honey coating. So that it looked sweeter and healthier apparently as well, because they didn't use the sugar. Yeah, so in that side area, they could really kind of on a head-on collusion kind of dominate in that side segment the market. Yeah? And then I think now Kellogg's is actually back with having the sliced strawberries or cherries in it. And I think it's still in the supermarkets, right? Yeah, okay, yeah. Yeah, and then totally new breakfast, that was this one from Nestle. So they basically competed with a cereal bar. Oh, Cheerios, yeah, I remember those. Yeah, okay. So there were normal Cheerios and then the Cheerios bar. Sorry, this bewildered me for a second, the picture. I hadn't seen it that big. So, okay. So the basic prescriptive principle for assisting the choice between strategic options was head-on attacks are expensive and unlikely to succeed against well-established products where there is no major technical breakthrough. But again, notice here, no major technical breakthrough. So in a lot of our products, we play actually on that level 2, and then these strategies can work. Think about the MP3 player, the iPod kind of revolutionized an industry that was already fully established. Everybody had an MP3 player, or a lot of people had one, but it wasn't funky. And then the iPod came and they flooded the market, so it does work. Yeah. Then segment the market and attempt to dominate the segment. Yeah? So they really went on this health strive with the nuts and honey and fruit, and could compete as well directly, and then exploit the competitive resource advantages of the organization that you have. And with this came as well. Oh, okay. I have left continued. Okay, never mind. But with that comes as well the notion of concentrate resources, where you have your strengths. Does this really work for them? Treat mature markets different from growing markets, and exploit any strategic market opportunities that you actually see. Yeah, so they went in as well on a few segments to see which one grasps most. Now, with this came serial partners selecting the option in those cases, 4 elements of the chosen option. So concentrate resources, economics of scale, of course. Yeah, so they went in with saying 20% of the market, and it was a whole continent. Yeah, so this is probably quite different way of strategic management. Then tackle country by country. So this was quite interesting that they really adapted to the local big agendas. Yeah, it's not really local, national big agendas. Then Kellogg's flanking attack via product innovation. And in the UK, they acquired a company. Do you know which one? I should have really. Does anybody know shredded wheat?
Yeah.
Okay. So we come to that now. What happened next? 3 point. That was it. That was done. Did you see it? Nestle in the corner. Has anybody tried those? Good?
I like the small ones, I like biscuits.
Eating, but it's sweet, right? They have something inside. There was like, in Germany we had those too with jam inside, right?
Yeah, you can't get them plain, but you can get them with jam, and you can also get them like sugar coated as well, little small ones.
Yeah. So the health benefit probably goes straight out of the window, but very tasty. Yeah, so certainly. Really?
That's what it says, 3 centimeters.
Oh, yeah, sorry, I didn't really. Centenary ball. Yeah, I don't know if that is a bonus on it.
That was a gimmick when we were kids. You know, something at the bottom of the cereal packet. Just to buy cereal just to get the gift. That was worth tools. Yeah.
Oh, hidden game layers. Very smart, very smart. Okay, we come to that as well later. Yeah, but in the 90s, the joint venture basically acquired shredded wheat, I guess. Is that the real name? Yeah. And then gained immediate market presence and acquired factories with it. And actually, I did that as well. That was one of my key roles in PepsiCo, where we basically went for mergers and acquisitions to expand the network. and have just the factory capacity as well. So that is normally when you buy and straight away enlarge. You buy factories with more land to basically expand straight away. Yes, and then we had as well the European breakfast series in the 90s, so Golden Grahams in the UK. Who remembers those? This is quite some time ago, isn't it? Yeah, I didn't have those, but they do look tasty. Then Spain, they pitched it via the basketball NBA advertising, so as well quite interesting. And those are the more famous one. I remember those. Well, not so much the left one, but that one. So you can see that they basically tried out the diversity that the joint venture brought along from America.
The chocolate came off the cereal, and then you could drink the milk afterwards, not throw it in the bin. That was the idea behind that one.
So you got like a
So
you got like a chocolate milkshake afterwards.
Yeah, that's how they sold it to kids.
Yeah, and they put straws in
Exactly.
it now as well.
Yeah. Because a lot of kids will eat the cereal, take the sweet stuff, and not drink the milk, which is the best part of it probably. And yet with that, they got a straw to drink the milk as well.
Okay. So you see already how powerful the marketing was. Yeah, this is a very reflective commentary here. Yeah, so so very big hook, and that was it pretty much. So that is what we went through more or less. Maybe to add, so when it came to the implementation, bought shredded wheat, then extended UK range to the ones that we had. Yeah, so clearly made the gain with the children. I too liked really the chocolate milk afterwards. There was a win-win. But then, if you have Swiss Family, there was Obermaltine. They were very popular too. It destroyed the whole Nestle business, unfortunately for us children. I pointed out that that is healthier, and parents would buy it on that premises. No consideration for taste for the children. I'm telling you. Yeah, the German parents. Yeah, that is. So no, I'm just joking. But and then launched in France as well, Spain and Portugal. And then Portugal 1992, no wait a minute, 1992 launch in Italy, 1993 launch in Germany, and then they kept expanding. And once you're as well in holiday places, once you kind of pitch that with the hotels, and then you have really made your market share, and that pretty much was it for their establishing their market dominance. Now there is of course so yeah, to the prescriptive strategy. If you look at it from a competitive and cooperative strategy point, flanking attack when dominant competitor across region concentrate resources by picking parts of the region, need to find and build on competitive resources strengths across region, and cooperation easier when partners complement each other. So if you partner with somebody that does the same things like you do, then this may go into tears very quickly. But with this came, of course, as well, you cannot cope with uncertain environments, so it does help if somebody is already there. So rapidly changing markets for mobile telephones, or wait a minute, let's. Oh, I see. So that is basically. Importantly, a prescriptive strategy misses as well major opportunities. So if we look now at the emergent strategy, you will see that especially the predictive strategy or prescriptive strategy has huge difficulties with uncertain environments. So in a way, they were really relying on Kellogg's having made already the pitch and having established kind of a market ground. So rapidly changing markets for mobile telephones at the time, although this refers more, I think, to 2003 or something like that, or e-strategy applications. So you may remember when companies started going, basically online, and had their first web pages, and you could start buy holidays as well online and things like that. That really kind of changed a lot of that, and the prescriptive strategy doesn't really cater. It's not responsive enough if you stick to the theorems, because it would always require kind of this sound option building, so environmental analysis, resource analysis, establishing resources. Yeah, so The idea really being prescriptive strategies assumes companies can see ahead for several years. That becomes very difficult for obvious reasons. Then prescriptive strategies assumes companies can always make firm plans, even where technology change is rapid. And that is, of course, a dangerous dangerous strategy, and we've seen big companies really failing on that. It also largely ignores innovation, and as well kind of skills development and like aspirations maybe from individuals to integrate new technologies. Then tends to replicate existing market opportunities rather than develop totally new offerings. And so you can say also you do need a more experimental approach of emergent strategy. And I mean, Sven criticized that as well, and it's still a big discussion actually at the moment. So what was the emergent approach behind this? Alternative emergent view of breakfast cereal market, creative learning and more experimental. Here we have, of course, on the one side still our environment and competitive resources. So again, the size are still the 3 billion, grows 10% per year, lower in the UK, so we had that already. And then as well with the resources still pretty much the same, brand name, grocery network and so forth. But in emergent approaches, the initial analysis of the environment and resources is broadly the same as in the prescriptive approach. But when we go in the next step, you basically look very carefully at how you define your purpose to actually fit the environment and resources. So here, creative, experimental, more difficult to describe, but essential. So you basically have more grounds to experiment. You may try more things as well. So what would that potentially look like? So Kellogg's, for example, reacted in the marketplace by launching similar products to those from cereal partners called market dynamics. So you could see, for example, the crunchy nut red. Is that the? Yes. Yeah, I think it's raspberries. Yeah, so they went certainly for that to basically match whatever Nestle did, which is quite interesting. Yeah, so if we look at that, in Asia, Russia, and Greece, cereal partners did not launch the same range into each country. Kept Kellogg's guessing, basically, smart part of game theory. We come to that too. So game theory is trying to optimize as well your opportunities that you have, not just the risk, minimize the risk, but as well the other side. So cereal partners launched as well innovative new products. We had this already, breakfast cereal bars for people in a hurry. Yeah, so quite an interesting one. Then Kellogg's also launched innovative products, building on healthy market trends. So they've probably felt a little bit outmatched when the first products from Nestle came, from cereal partners, that they exactly lost out on that side. Yeah. And then as well, a cereal partner launched the leading children's product from the USA, which did fail in the UK, which is quite interesting. I missed that, sadly. Does anybody recognize the Lucky Charms?
Yeah,
I've heard
Yes.
of them,
we had like little marshmallows in. You can get them in places like Jenner's and Edinburgh.
Phoenix as
In
well.
Phoenix too, as well.
But they're regarded as
But they're
American,
really bad for you.
American cereals,
They're
and you
an
pay
import nowadays.
totally over the top prices.
And delicious or not so
No,
delicious?
no.
Not so delicious.
Oh, right, okay. So not even pitch the right taste. That
I
is
didn't like them, but other
I've
people
never
liked them.
had them.
Okay.
Insanely sugary.
Okay. Oh, but maybe is that good? So are you really hyper afterwards? Maybe that is what you need in the
I
breakfast.
remember distinctly I wasn't allowed them for that very reason.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Parents are used to stuff like that.
Children were too hyper for the rest of the day, completely sugared up. Yeah, okay, that's it. So yeah, maybe they should have consulted with the parents. Yeah, there may have been. But experimentation means accepting as well the possibility of failure.
Marshmallow look fat actually, so not even that bad. They're all fat marshmallows, I think.
But loads of sugar and calories.
That's
Yeah.
Okay, so it depended what you were looking for. Interesting. Yeah, but so this is a huge thing to consider. Yeah, so if you work in a strategic remit, your projects can as well fail. This may just be, well, your project wouldn't fail. Basically, the product would fail, but it's basically to try out markets and see if they're actually ready for the product or for your service that you're offering. And Kellogg's Richie, how would you say that? Richie?
Bicycles.
Ricely. Okay. I go with your...
Bicycles like bicycles.
Okay. Bicycles. Very good. They basically pitched that one as a competitor, but again, later withdrawn, interestingly. Oh, I missed those. This is really heartbreaking. So, okay. So where are we with the emergent strategy process? And so this is based on Quinn and Sench and Mintzberg mostly. So creative, experimental, more difficult to describe, but essential process. And it means as well that you may actually fail a few attempts. So you would always try a few options to as well see what works, what doesn't work. Yeah, and you use that as well to update basically your prescriptive strategy, of course. So the environment here, Kellogg's reacts to CP launch with new products. And then on the other side, we had as well impact market trend for healthy eating, launch new healthy products that contain organic ingredients or other contents that aid health, such as oats to lower cholesterol and so forth. So they did a little bit their homework. And then as well competitive resources. CP develops further new products, new factories. So launch a breakfast substitute, cereal bars that can be eaten quickly and without sitting down to breakfast. Impact to the market trend away from breakfast as a meal. This was a little bit what was pitched, but I mean this was already there in the UK as a lead form, right? The sandwich takeaway. It's perfect. Yeah, you can eat it on the way. You don't make a mess. Yeah, you try that with any form of the German meals. They didn't figure it out. It's always like kind of meat or stuff on one half of bread roll. That is just Lisa. And so the sandwich idea was really like.
I guess with that as well, they're disassociating themselves with another key product for a cereal, which is milk.
Yeah.
And if the milk market prices went up, people might not eat cereal.
Yeah.
So maybe they saw a trend there as well.
Oh, I've never. I didn't consider that on that basis, but you have a point there. Yeah? So especially where certain other resources come in, this can actually as well impact on the market. Yeah, very good. So purpose, not equally successful in all countries. Yeah, so you then have as well cultural preferences, which then impacts, of course, on emerging strategic options. So here it's experimental, not a specific choice. So you may even try to play within the variety of your new product to fine-tune it. So CP enters different countries with different product ranges to as well outplay a little bit Kellogg's, so that they carry the risk as well, that you as a main competitor don't just carry it yourself. Then CP country variations designed to keep Kellogg's guessing, as well as serve local customer segments. And CP launches new products that deliver both success and failure. So that is the evaluation where overall you have to come out with a profit. But again, the idea is here that you have as well a threshold, which means you have to price it basically accordingly. Yeah. And then that's basically the emergent strategic approach. And any questions at that so far? Okay, then quick look. We can come back to it. So if you have a question, hold it in your mind. So emergent strategy really helps in a more general sense. It emphasizes the importance of flexibility versus competitors. Yeah, so you seize the opportunities that come along. So this is as well something that in projects in many companies you're trimmed on that. You have to look out for the opportunities to make the most of what you're doing. Yeah, so this works as well in charity sectors. If you try to deliver a certain service, you may see as well opportunities to have a greater impact with the community you're working with. So the market model is actually adaptable to that. It doesn't have to be necessarily return on the investment or something like that, or well, that would still work, but it doesn't have to be like the the actual monetary value. It can be as well social or cultural value that you generate with a model like that. Yeah. Privileges innovation. And now this is an interesting one. I've just actually written a paper on that. We have actually a lot of innovations around us, and societies get more technophobe and actually innovation averse. So the key is as well to establish innovations that we can hold on to, that have a lasting value for our markets or for the communities or cultures that are engaging with them. So this is another big hurdle that is hidden within that. It seeks as well out new opportunities rather than encourage a repeat of what was done in the past. Now that is as well then getting more complicated with manufacturing. If you just have slight taste adjustments, then the manufacturing lines are often already trimmed on that. So there are as well price implications with that. Emergent strategy itself is not the complete answer, of course. Yeah? So many companies need as well some long-term planning, and in many countries it's very difficult to have actually a running business without long-term strategies, because there are promises, otherwise you're not eligible for certain contracts. So as well in the UK, where we have agendas like skills agendas or environmental commitments that often plan in longer ranges that you as a business have to have at least in your business plan or account for. This is a little bit a question from national economy or regional context to regional context, but nonetheless something to consider. Could be as well chaotic if everything was uncertain and constantly changing. So chaos leads to low profitability, especially if you look at scalable markets. So then we need actually other strategies. So if you have chaos, networks, and kind of finding out what the people around you need, it's a lot more powerful. But we will come to that too. We have that as well with projects actually. So see, for example, as well, Andorf's 1991 critique of emergent strategy. He has as well a detailed paper on this, which is very, very impressive. Now, if you want to draw like general conclusions from this historic case study, you would probably see that early 20th century and as well there were different trends. So in the early 20th century, this is as well when like one of probably most industrial associated industries was still done in an apartment block. So the first oil refinery was actually done in a second floor apartment flat in New York. So just some of the larger industries that we associate nowadays with huge industrial complexes started as well small at some point. But here the trends showed really characterized by greater use of science and technology, whereas in the past people had tinkered around and made it work by themselves. Reflected as well greater structuring of management and strategy. We had the first big rise of companies. In the UK we had that even before that. Then mass production of quality products became possible. So that was a big thing actually. Mid-20th century, accelerate rate of technological change. We're still in the game. Greater spread of wealth. Now that is a big question if we're still playing that game. Leading to new demands for formal strategy development. By the way, at that time there was an interesting question that especially motorists had. They had built luxury cars for a long time. And the big question is, they had completed the markets. They knew how many rich they were. They had 2 or 3 cars with a driver. And then there was a big question, how do we sell more cars? And that is, of course, where VW and Ford came in and tried to basically pitch a car that everybody could drive. So that was actually at that time, mid-20th 20th century, where they actually tried to liberalize a lot of product. It's a high-value product that normally not every family would consider buying. So we have as well a consumption market now where people do buy those things. Then late 20th century, 4 distinct pressures on strategic management, free market competition coupled with maturity in some markets, rise of Asia-Pacific economics at the time, global competition, greater knowledge and training of managers and employees, resulting in some current trends. So new and more sophisticated analysis
We have now started as well going actually kind of beyond strategic market analysis and thinking more about developing our own markets. So that is a big theme actually. Then demand for greater innovation in decision making. Demands for greater involvement in decision making. So as well the accountability. Do you know who makes the decisions in the company? So this is often individuals that get the information to actually decide on it. Need for new innovations. So we have a few as well innovation topics that try to avoid resource issues that we have. Knowledge itself becomes valuable resource, and around 2000 you would have read a lot about the knowledge economy. Now we have kind of recoined it, so it's a very interesting thing. We have gone actually back to an entrepreneurial service industry, which does account a little bit for knowledge economy, but not as planned initially. Now, if you look at the organization's previous history, key determinant of the future was really development, and future strategy is grounded in the past resources and organizational culture, but we come to that at a later stage anyway in a lot of detail. So explore history in 3 areas in this model. So we really look at processes, past and present, organizational structure, and relationships and leadership as well. And as well then the positioning versus competitors, or maybe you want to start your own niche. So we look at different strategic settings that we can enter into with the 2 models. And then as well past history, current resources, future visions. I do know that Michel normally brings a speaker in for the future visions. My supervisor from my PhD, he has written several publications on future vision of industries, and it is quite a fascinating topic, because if you read the old books, what were the future visions in the 50s and 60s, a lot of it didn't come true. Yeah, so we don't have a lot of the stuff that they kind of envisioned, and they envisioned it as well on resources that were available. Yeah, so actually, when I grew up, I always say that was a sad tear. I thought that we would already explore the stars, the universe, something like Star Trek. I don't know why I believed that, but as a 12-year-old, I was pretty committed to this. I thought, like, yes, I will do this too. Yeah, and we clearly didn't do that to the same extent. Yeah, so some of our visions and future visions are not necessarily the truth. Okay, any questions? Anything to add?
In some cases, we've actually gone back in time, as in technology, as in we were flying Concorde, which was very innovative at the time, and even now it's probably beyond a lot of expectations, but we're actually not using that technology now. So in some areas we've actually sort of took steps backwards.
Yeah. So there is as well a question. So I pointed already out that as well culturally we can see that we're overwhelmed with the newness around us. So there are so many technologies that are kind of imposed, new ways of doing things, that very common human kind of response to that is overwhelmedness, and we kind of focus really on the pockets. So what you named as well, the Concorde was a plane that flew twice, exactly, Mach 2, so a lot faster than what we could fly now. And we have just recently started again, some of the companies that are renowned for that, like Virgin and Virgin Galaxy, they kind of try to push that technology a lot. And then as well with rocket engines, there are some other players now in the market that have actually picked up that idea that kind of stopped in the 80s, which is fascinating. Yeah, so it comes as well with scalability. And we are still in that phase where if you look at the world as one market, as one resource, which should be questioned straight away, but if you look at it that way, you will see only 1/4 has kind of access to the consumption goods, and that is already partly restricted. So this depends really where you are or what resources or monetary assets you have around you, or credit rating maybe in other countries, and how far you have actually access to it.
For me as well, just basing it on cereal, when you think if you go to a supermarket store now, there's so much out there. It is chaotic, and it just overwhelms you, and you just think, I'm just going to go for Kellogg. I'm just going to go back to basics.
Yeah.
So, you know what I mean? And I totally agree with that chaotic thing, because you think, oh God, where's the Weetabix? Just want something simple and plain. I don't want all these gimmicky things. So
but
the competition's actually lost them business, and trying to compete with one another and put too many brands out there, sort of thing.
Yeah. So that is
a
actually
backward step in some ways, isn't it? Started off with the original product.
No, but this is always a game. So you kind of that is an experimentation strategy where you try to refine, and you hope that on the table maybe everybody eats their own cereal. So they, as a family, have 5 cereals, and then you notice maybe that they are actually not buying as much cereal overall as they did, and then you see as well many brand products like that. But they go a step back and try one simplified product and see if that pitches. But sometimes that is just when they lost the train and you have switched to something completely new. But those are exactly the dynamics that we will have a closer look in this module. It's a lot of fun. You can do that with any product or service. Here I told you, I mean, the lectures in Lynch are mostly trimmed on like asset value, economic value, but you can spin that in any value. You can look at it in social value, cultural value, and I encourage you. The same example works as well if you have a charity or social entrepreneurship. This works as well. The concepts are kind of a starting point to look at a scenario, and it's I think fascinating to look at the examples. What the companies have done as well. Any other questions, observations, trends that I have missed? Yeah.
Any strategy that you have, it's based on data, isn't it? Like you have your market shares and everything. How do companies ensure that the data is reliable? Because if the data is not reliable, you're basing your strategy on something that's not really correct. So how do you ensure the data is reliable?
Well, so data is very broad. So
40% market share.
Yeah. Okay. So with something like that, you can really do it as simple as counting the stores that actually trade it. Yeah. So it depends at what level you want to have your refined data. So with cereals like Kellogg's or in my former employer PepsiCo, we would look quantity that we would produce. Shops that would reorder. So we had a pull system. It was like all kind of, as soon as a shop would go to a certain stock size, we would basically refill. And that is of course when you have the data pretty accurate. Does that make sense?
Okay, then when you're entering the market, you obviously don't have the competitors' figures.
Yeah. So often you go for market analysis. So a lot of companies wouldn't actually PepsiCo is a good example. So we wouldn't do that ourselves. We would work with a Boston consulting group, and they would give us a strategic analysis of the markets, and they would often do that together with governments or local or regional groupings that would show population numbers and infrastructure and behavior. So it would go as fast as looking at the breakfast table. What do they actually eat? Things like that. But this is then a little bit outside of the remit, and you would probably outsource it or contract it out. But you are quite right. The markets are just a potential. So it's counting people, then looking how they live, what they consume with food, for example, and similar with technologies. It's changing the platform how you communicate. If you have a mobile phone, you do suddenly a lot of this, and maybe talk to it like Captain Kirk on the Enterprise. So I don't know. So it depends how you're using it, but it's a refinement of your. It's people that have to consume it. Otherwise you don't have a market share.
When you're a smaller company, you can't outsource. You can't give it to a consulting company.
Yeah.
How would you come up with figures?
Yeah, just Google PricewaterhouseCoopers for the UK has just done that. Actually, I'm attending the meeting. We look at the moment organizational capacity of the UK. So they have a report for that, and then they will normally give you the abstract, and you have the market indicators. But you can look as well at like stock markets. You know, it's kind of transparent, but there's always speculation in that. So you have to kind of balance that into your numbers. Does that make sense? But as a small or medium-sized enterprise, the best way how to start is based on your networks. You work with demands. If you have a customer, a client, that's it. See what works, refine the product, see if you can pitch it then as a product to other maybe similar companies or similar clients, and then build it gradually. That is a stakeholder emergent approach that we covered as well. We come to that too. Is that answering it? Yeah. I mean, in reality, you can filter it a lot closer. You can ask a university to take this as a dissertation topic, something like that, you know, and then students can work on that. They have a concrete case. So there are a lot of different ways of doing that. Chamber of Commerce is normally monitor it, or here we have as well a Confederation of Business Industry. They have these indicators. So if you write them an email, say you're interested in membership, you normally get the last year's overview for free. But that is very UK specific. Any other thoughts, observations? Okay, I don't want to hold you a lot longer then. I run already over time with the questions, but thank you very much. The seminar will be with Moses, and he will introduce you to the assessment. But think as well a little bit about a company that you may want to follow, or organization, business, something like that, that you're interested in, and compare if that works. Yeah. Key book was Lynch. Yeah. I think it's Richard Lynch, 2012, Strategic Management. Where we have it in the library. There should be 30 copies or so. Yeah. Okay, thank you very much. And I may see you next week. I may not, but if it